to on this evening. Later on in the show, we got a legend coming on. Former Bama safety George Teague, 1992 national champion, one of the greatest safeties to ever play. Where his program is concerned, he's coming on at 6:30 to give his thoughts on the Alabama team, the Alabama defense, and what he wants to see here in this Iron Bowl. Crimson Tide taking on Auburn on Saturday, Jordan-Hare Stadium. CBS will have the call on the matchup as Alabama trying to get a strong performance, a statement type of performance against the Tigers before taking on Georgia in the SEC title game. But folks, we want to hear from you tonight. Blow those phone lines up. Ring those phone lines. And you can do this by calling 205-448-1358. That's the number to dial right there to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Definitely want to hear from you. The daily Super Chat goes $75 daily. Super Chat go right there. Appreciate the love that you guys show us, making this your show, your network, your platform, your channel, your space to talk about your program, that being Alabama football. But we're getting out topic number one here of the conversation on this evening. And to me, even though Coach Saban may not want to make changes or look to make changes or try to, switch some things up as Alabama trying to get that championship push on, we're at a point where some more personnel changes, some more personnel adjustments, some more personnel alterations need to be made, need to be done, and this has to happen if Alabama wants to give itself that edge, want to give itself that advantage when you discuss taking on Auburn in the Iron Bowl, taking on Georgia in the SEC Championship, possibly getting into the college football playoff and having those two games as well. You got to give yourself an advantage. You got to give yourself an edge. You got to put yourself in the best case scenario, the best possible situation here to have success. And I know today Coach Saban mentioned that there will be no changes made to the offensive line. Offensive line will continue as is with the rotation that's been out there all season. Now, I know Chris Owens has been relegated to a backup now because you got Darian Dalcourt starting at center, Damian George starting at right tackle, but there's aside from having Chris Owens as a backup, there are no other changes being made on the offensive line. And for me, this is kind of perplexing just due to when you look at this front group here, Bryce Young has been sacked 26 times this season. He's got to be arguably the most sacked quarterback of a Nick Saban era. I will do some numbers on that, but he's got to be up there in terms of most sacked quarterback of the Saban era. He's been sacked 4 times in matchups against LSU, Texas A&M, Arkansas. He's been sacked at least once in all 10 games this season, and we've seen whether it's at right tackle, I know they're trying to bring Damian George along, but whether it's right tackle, guys getting to Bryce Young, whether it's between the center and the guard, guys getting to Bryce Young. Evan Neal is the only guy where you know what he's doing. We know what Neal's doing. There's a reason why Evan Neal's a top 5 draft pick. I mean, in 377 pass snaps, he has not given up a sack, according to Pro Football Focus. So Neal is the real deal. It's just the other 4 guys, you're not seeing the cohesiveness. You're not seeing the togetherness. You're not seeing the continuity in terms of not allowing defensive players to get to Bryce Young and put that young man on the ground. And, for me, just my purposes right here, to me, this just says, this just says that none of the freshmen are ready on that line. This just says, J.C. Latham not ready, seeing how Saban's not making any changes. This just says the Brockemeyer boys, James and Tommy Brockemeyer, not quite ready. I look at guys like Amari Kite. I look at Tommy Brown. I look at Pierce Quick. Are these guys just not ready or just not consistent enough to be on the field. Because for you to say we're not making any changes on the offensive line, and this is a group that's given up 26 sacks, which is more than what it gave up last year to Mac Jones, which is probably more than what it's given up in the past to guys like Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts and Blake Sims and Jacob Coker and A.J. McCarron and Greg McElroy. Bryce has been getting decked. Bryce has been getting whacked, hit, still finds a way to bounce back up, but Coach Saban not making any changes here on the offensive line. So that means this group that's been on the field, this group here has got to come with it in the Iron Bowl against Auburn, because Derek Mason is going to turn the horses loose coming after Bryce Young inside Jordan-Hare. So this line, since Saban's not making no changes, this line got to get down with the get down. They're going to have to come with it here in this rivalry matchup against the Tigers. Another area where some personnel changes need to be done as we look at the secondary, and that would be time to look at Kool-Aid McKinstry now. Time to look at Kool-Aid McKinstry over Josh Jobe. And in the matchup against Arkansas, I think Sam Pittman and offensive coordinator Kendall Browse, they basically looked at each other and said, you know what, we're not going to be able to run the ball on Alabama. We're not going to be able to just line up and run the ball on Alabama. This is what we're going to do. We're going to take our best receiver, Treylon Burks, and we're going to put him on Josh Jobe, and we're going to attack that matchup all game long, because we don't believe Josh Jobe is good enough to handle our best guy one-on-one. We don't believe that Jobe has the technique. We don't believe that Jobe has the instincts. We don't believe that Jobe has the ability to handle our guy, our receiver, one-on-one, Treylon Burks. And by God, Arkansas was right, because they attacked that matchup all game long. Jobe not playing the ball, Jobe not looking for the ball. Burks had near 200 yards receiving, 2 touchdown receptions on the game. 1 wide receiver torched Alabama secondary, and that was Treylon Burks. And if you look at Pro Football Focus, Jobe consistently grades as the worst corner, one of the worst corners on there. Jobe ranked number 337 in terms of corners. He's way down there. His grade is 63.2 according to Pro Football Focus, and over 300 coverage snaps. So if you're consistently being graded by the data, by the analytics, as one of the worst corners in college football, and you've been up and down in terms of consistency, it's time to look at Kool-Aid McKinstry. It's just time. Kool-Aid, another game where Coach Saban has talked about he played good, he played well, he did what he was supposed to do, he executed out there, growing in confidence. We've seen Jamison Williams talk high on Kool-Aid, DJ Dale talk high on Kool-Aid, Malachi Moore talk high on Kool-Aid. It's time to have a third Bama native. You can look at Malachi Moore from Alabama, Jagan Armour-Davis from the state of Alabama, Kool-Aid's from the state. It's time to have a third Bama native in the secondary. It's just time to go to Kool-Aid McKinstry. Sticking with the secondary here, you look at DeMarco Hellams at that free safety spot, and it's the same thing, the inconsistency. He'll give you a big play. He'll give you a pick here and there. He'll give you a pass breakup here and there, but then he'll also get lost in coverage. But then he'll also miss a tackle. But then he'll also take a bad angle to the ball. But then he'll also bust a coverage, and you just can't have that. You can't have the inconsistencies on the field. When you look at your Alabama, everybody's chasing you. You're considered the measuring stick, and there is a standard of excellence that's supposed to be upheld. You can't have consistent, inconsistent plays on the field, and that's another area. Going back to Pro Football Focus, DeMarco Hellams grades out as one of the worst safeties. In terms of pass coverage, he grades out as one of the worst safeties. So you look at, there's got to be a change made here, whether that change is Malachi Moore at safety, whether that change is Brian Branch at safety, whether that change is Terrion Arnold or Christian Story. You got some guys here. You got some depth here at that safety position. But who is the guy that you want to go with? Alabama started the season with Moore at safety in the game against Miami, and he played well. Had an interception in the game, communicated well, guys were flying to the ball. There's Malachi Moore. I think Brian Branch is an ideal highlight big play free safety, going back to what he did in high school. Sandy Creek High in Tyrone, Georgia, left that program as its all-time career leader for interceptions. You look at Brian Branch. If you're not feeling those two, you got Christian Story, who has a whole year in the system. This is his second year. He can play that position. You got Terrion Arnold, who came out of high school in Florida, Tallahassee, Florida. That's very gifted at that position. I know a lot of people say, well, Steven, Daniel Wright's got experience too. What about Daniel Wright? Daniel Wright has experience, but he's also inconsistent. He's also up and down. He also has moments where he'll make a play and then he'll bust a play. He'll make a play and then he'll miss a tackle. He'll make a play and then he's lost in translation. So you can't have inconsistency. You can't have one play where you that dude and then have 4 to 5 plays where we're going, where the heck is you doing? So you can't have that, especially as we're at this point in the season. So, Bama needs to look at possibly, replacing Helms there at that free safety spot. Another area you got to look at now is the linebacker position. At middle linebacker, most importantly, Bama needs a thumper at that spot. You need a thumper. You need a hitter. You need somebody that's going to bring that wood, somebody that's going to fly in there, shoot gas, bagow! Make that tackle. Yo, I'm here. Let the opposition know they're going to feel you all night long. You need somebody that's going to run through that gap and create some havoc. And Henry To'o is not that guy that's going to run through there and create some havoc. It almost looks like Bama's got 2 weak side linebackers on the field in To'o and Christian Harris. You need a thumper. You need somebody that's going to run through there and boom, just lay folks out. You got to be a little bit crazy to play middle linebacker. You got to be a little bit crazy to play, that position. And Moody's got that thump to him. Moody's got that ability to him. Yes, he may not be the athlete that To'o is, but I expressed this before. He's been in the system longer. He can fit those gaps. He can take on those blocks. He can shed those blocks off. He can attack the ball. And when he's got into games, he's actually played well. When he's gotten into games, he's actually made some playmaking moves there out there on the field. And I understand you cannot compare Henry To'o to other linebackers in years past. When you look at the Reuben Fosters, the Reggie Ragnans, the Rolando McClains, the Nico Johnsons, the C.J. Mosleys, the Rashawn Evans, the Sean Dion Hamiltons. I get that because this is a different day of football now than what those guys played in then. But at the same time, you being the Alabama football faithful, when you see different guys come to the program and have that standard of excellence, you want to see the guy coming right behind them hold to that same standard, provide that same standard. If you're seeing Reuben and Reggie and C.J. Mosley and Rolando and all of these guys flying around blowing stuff up, you want to see Henry To'o blowing stuff up, especially after how he came in with all this, with all the accolades and the hype and the camaraderie around his name there, but just not seeing that from him this season. Think it's time for Alabama to look at Jalen Moody's direction. But we take a quick break here. We take a break here on the show and touch that dial. Just getting started. Upon our return, we go to the phone lines to grab your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your concerns. We get a conversation with you guys going after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
What's up, Bama Nation? This is Rudy Griffin, former Alabama defensive lineman, and you're listening to my guy, Stephen M. Smith, In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide, roll!
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama team paper. which is a video yearbook they've put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
And we are back into the action here, folks, from the break of the Monday, Thanksgiving week, but also Iron Bowl week. Getting this week started off for you correctly, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine right here. Before we go to the phone lines to take your calls, we got to go to some super chats here. So how about Randy Harris walks in here with that $5 donation, showing love, appreciate Randy Harris. And then we got D. Joshua Benjamin in here with a $5 donation. Appreciate the love there from Randy Harris and D. Joshua Benjamin. Once again, the daily super chat goes $75. Daily super chat goal right there. Appreciate the love shown from each of you. We go to the phone lines to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's happening? What's going on? State your name and where you're calling from.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at Stephen's nose. Although he said many times, many ways, it's TDA tonight. Woo, I tell you what, it's Iron Bowl week, I'm fired up. I see no wrong this week in my Alabama crimson-colored glasses. I see no wrong with the Tide. I tell you what, it's time to get down in the mud, the muck, the beer, and the blood. It's family against family, neighbor against neighbor, brother against brother, sister against sister. It's Auburn week. Whew. I smell that cow manure all the way up here in North Alabama. I tell you what, lay it on me, Stephen. What's going on?
Well, this week, Wagon, I mean, you brought it up right there. This is Iron Bowl week. This is the one where you throw the records out the window. It's about who won it. It's state pride. It's who won it, who really won it. Like, I mean, players talk about it all the time. Alabama fans, they ask one question when you're done playing at Alabama. What was your record against LSU? What was your record against Tennessee? What was your record against Auburn? So here we go. This is the game where if you want it, you better come get it.
That's exactly right. That's what you judge by when you listen and talk to George Teague. He'll tell you what that record was against Auburn. I'm going to tell you what, I see everybody in the cities, town, country, the states, all the people in the Blue Wrench Gang in the chat. I see all y'all over 200. I love all of you. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving this week. I don't know if I'll be back on Wednesday. I don't know what Stephen's going to do. He'll announce that later. But if not, I'll see y'all hopefully on Friday or next Monday one after this big victory against Auburn down at Pat Dye Field. I feel it coming. They may take the worst whipping they ever took in their life down there. I hate that bunch. I love all y'all. Y'all be safe. Happy holidays. Bye-bye, Stephen. I love all of you. Bye-bye.
Appreciate Wang there starting us off with that call, getting us rocking and rolling on a Monday Iron Bowl week. We take this call here. You're live on the show. It's popping. How we feeling? What's going on? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Stephen. This is Jim Gallagher out of Dallas, Texas. How you doing tonight?
Doing great, Jim. Doing great, man. Thanksgiving this week. I'm wondering how many turkeys will I get this time, but the bigger focus is it's Iron Bowl week.
Well, yes, sir. You know, there's a couple of things I noticed. I hadn't heard anybody else talk much about it, but we're still looking at the same problems going into this Auburn game that we was looking at when we went into the Florida game. We got the same exact problems. Coach keeps saying, well, they're fixable, but it don't seem like they ever get fixed. I I noticed at least we're starting to run to the left now behind Evan Neal instead of trying to run into a brick wall there on the right-hand side of the line, and that was good. B-Rob had a good game because they was running behind our best blocker. They haven't been doing that all year. And then another problem that keeps coming up, offense goes out there, gives the defense a 17-point lead early in the game. Well, they can't close the deal. I don't know what's up with that, but when you got a 17-point lead fairly early in the game, you should be able to close the deal, and our defense just can't seem like they can do that. But I don't know. Coming into this Auburn game, if we don't get our heads out of the clouds, we're going to have a rude awakening down there at Auburn because they're going to come to play. This is their Super Bowl. And they don't care whether we go into the SEC championship game or not. All they care about is if they win their own Super Bowl.
Good point there, Jim. Absolutely good point there, and that actually brings up a conversation that I've been having with my uncle. If y'all want to know the base opinion for Alabama fans everywhere, I got to get my Uncle Tim to call the show one time because he literally went the other day. He was like, "Nephew, let me tell you something, nephew. Auburn's main existence, nephew, is to beat Alabama. They don't care if they got to give a leg, a thigh, a chicken wing, they soul, it don't matter. As long as they beat Alabama, everything is right in the world. They're Auburn." And that was literally my Uncle Tim just right there having a full-on conversation with me. Crazy. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling tonight? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Stephen M. It's Robert from Mobile.
Rob, what's going on, brother?
Hey, kind of echo the sentiments of your last caller. It's like we just can't get both sides of the ball to show up at the same time often enough. And we've only had, maybe 2 games we can say, well, maybe 3. Well, maybe I should say 4. Miami was good. Of course, Ole Miss was a good game for the team. Mississippi State, and of course, and against I forgot Georgia State, or I forgot which school they played. Those were the 4 really good games where both sides of the ball showed up. But the rest were, and the latest again was Arkansas. Every team, we played 3 teams that Georgia's played: Tennessee, Florida, and now Arkansas. Georgia beats these teams and make it look easy, runs away, beginning to end. But Alabama struggles with them all. And that's beginning to become a trend now. And mostly on the defensive side. The offense played fairly well, but the defense allows a bunch of points to get scored. And Georgia either shuts out or the team doesn't get 20, or you may get double digits barely. And it's becoming a theme that the reality becoming that our expectation should not be to, they win a national championship. If we do, that'd be great. That's great. But we better not go into this postseason thinking, it's national championship or bust, because we just not getting a consistent enough play for that to be the expectation going in. It's great if we do it, and if we get there, let's roll with it. But this season, the last season, we could have an expectation, and we did. It was championship or bust. I mean, if that team didn't win a championship, that season was going to be another failure. This season. And it's hard to back up 2 seasons like that in a row, which is the reason why very few teams have done it, and Alabama's only done it once, because it's hard to do. So, going into the postseason, right now, Georgia and Ohio State, we're not better than them. We may be as good if we play our best game, but right now we're not better. And I really don't. After the last game, I'm not really confident we'll beat Ohio State in the postseason. But again, great if we do. But let's not get disappointed and thinking and want to throw everybody in the bus and except maybe Pete Golden and throw everybody in the bus and consider the season a failure because we didn't win a national championship. This team has not shown itself to be a typical Alabama national championship team. Doesn't mean it's not a good team. Doesn't mean the season's another failure. We need to temper our expectations for this team this year. Now, next year, another season under belt, another year under like a lot of these guys' belt, that we can get that expectation back up again, depending on how they play. But I think they'll do a lot better. I think we may be able to look there. But this last game is showing that, okay, the inconsistency is still there. It's late in the year. It's just not. They're not going to. They just don't appear that they're going to shake it, and that is what it is. I am disappointed in the defensive bent because of this is year 3 for the Pete Golden, and we still have yet to rise above good enough on defense. The defense never gets to be good. It's just always good enough, and good enough depends on how good the offense plays. I mean, if the offense can score 40 points, then good enough is 30. If the offense scores only 10 points, then our defense can't hold it. Good enough would have to be we have to be under 10, and I don't think this defense can hold Georgia under 10 or Ohio State. And so it just seems to be a theme with Pete Golden. He can't get this team defense good good as in both sides of the ball. And it passes the eye test the way Georgia is good. That's the kind of good we're used to with Alabama. He just doesn't seem to get us back there again. So that's something we definitely consider. You're totally right about To'o. Well, I was hoping he would give us the Alabama linebackers that high motor that we're used to seeing from our linebacking core. But so far, the high motor hasn't come back there either. But, it's been a good season. It's still been a good season. And so, but if we lose, the SEC championship game, okay, and we win our bowl game, hey, that's a good team. And beat Auburn. Got to beat Auburn. Then, that's a good, the season isn't a failure if it comes out that way. But again, going back, we have to beat Auburn. I do hate, though, that Bryce Young broke a record, looked outstanding, and we're not spending enough time congratulating that and celebrating that. I do hate that. We need to spend a little more time celebrating that, because that was an outstanding performance by Bryce Young. But great talking with you, man.
Absolutely. Robert from Mobile giving his thoughts here on the show. We're going to actually, in this topic here, talk about the record that Bryce Young broke because it was tremendous. But before we get into the topic here, got some super chats to get to here on the show. Appreciate you guys donating in, writing in, calling in, making this your platform. We got Big Man Bill from New York with that $5 donation, showing us love here on the show. Behind Bill from New York. Next, we got William Bryan from Iowa. He walks in here with that $50 donation, my man William from Iowa. And then Jimmy Cashman Bad Money Clay, that $25 donation. Daily Super Chat Goal because of you, the fans, of $75 has been met. Appreciate all of you. Now, a topic that being one, Bryce Young, he broke a 52-year-old record over the weekend against Arkansas that was held by Scott Hunter since 1969. The record was single game passing yards. Hunter had 484 yards in the 1969 Iron Bowl against Auburn. Bryce Young, 559 passing yards against the Razorbacks in a 42-35 win, just completely shattering that record. Torched Arkansas secondary. Bryce also had 5 touchdowns in the game. The young man has put it's him and C.J. Stroud of Ohio State kind of neck and neck here in the Heisman Trophy conversation. C.J. Stroud and the Buckeyes, they take on Michigan this week, but Bryce Young, he's got Auburn. He's also got Georgia in the SEC championship game. My thoughts are, if Bryce Young shreds Georgia, if Bryce Young shreds this Bulldogs defense and Bama wins the game, crown Bryce Young king, hand him the Heisman Memorial Trophy if he shreds this Georgia defense. Callers, hold through for the next 10 minutes, or you can call back in the next 10 minutes. We're going to go to a break right here. When we come back, we sit down with the legend, George Teague, former Bama safety, to talk Crimson Tide football right after this.
You know what we do with a start of the fourth quarter, we throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your four-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, Crimson Tide fans, we're back in from the break on the #1 show. Talking about your Bama football in my own words. Yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Monday, Iron Bowl week, Thanksgiving week, getting this thing going right here for you. But right now, we go to the In My Own Words hotline where we pick up a heavy weight. One of the, if not the greatest, ball-hawking, hard-hitting safety to come through the program, the 1992 national champion, and the man that's still giving Lamar Thomas nightmares at night. We got George Teague is here. George, what's happening, baby?
Hey, man, what's going on, man? What it do?
We got George Teague in the building, played from 1989 to 92 on that 92 championship team, one of the greatest safeties to come through. The program played under Coach Gene Stallings. And, George, this is a huge week. It's Iron Bowl week. I mean, Alabama, Auburn, state pride, a lot on the line. You throw the records out the window. It's about if you want it, you better come get it because it's happening right now. But you were one of the greatest safeties to play here, dynamic safety, ball-hawking safety, hard-hitting safety. I mean, you still have Lamar Thomas going wide in the world that I try to outrun George Teague for. But when you look at this Alabama defensive secondary right now, this season, what do you attribute as the biggest problem, the biggest flaw, the biggest troubling area in your mind?
I think it's the route combinations that we're seeing versus the style of defense that we're trying to play. Steve, it's confusing. So I just kind of, matter of fact, I just sent out a tweet a minute ago talking about this, reminding people of if you're not on the same page back there in the secondary with the type of defense that we're running, it is a pro style type defense. It's easy to give up big plays, and we're not on the same page yet. Yeah, I actually just saw one this Sunday in the Minnesota Vikings game versus Green Bay, running the same defense, and they gave up a long one to Jefferson. And it immediately made me think of our secondary because we just don't have it down yet. I'm a little upset because it's taken so long. You know, we're late in the season and we hadn't got it down pat yet. But we might need to simplify things just a little bit, although, you know, when we start making this little run here at the end of the season.
So George, how would Coach Saban go about simplifying that? Because like you mentioned, you're 10 games in and you're still seeing the same problems that you saw from game one, that you saw from game two and early on. So as a coach yourself, you know, how does one go about simplifying it?
I think that the way that the defense is structured, a lot of times the secondary or someone in the secondary can make a call on the fly. So if you notice, we're getting a lot of shifts and motions, right? And so someone has to make a call on what that adjustment's going to be. And I think that Coach Saban or Pete Golding needs to limit the options that they can check. That's what I think. I don't know that for sure, but that's what it seems like to me, that we need to be able to solidify one or two things when those shifts and motions happen, that we say, okay, you're going to do this, and these are your only options. So I'm guessing that we probably got too many options, and putting it in the hands of the players on the fly and not limiting what they can do.
If you're just tuning into the show here on a Monday, we got former Alabama defensive back safety George Teague on that 1992 championship team, one of the leaders of that team, joined us here on In My Own Words, talking Crimson Tide football. So, George, looking at Coach Saban here, just in particular Coach Saban, the expectation each year, as sometimes unfair as it sounds, but the expectation each year is, can this team win a national championship? Can this team get to the national championship, win it all, and then do it again year after year? But in looking at all of the inconsistent parts of this team, what does Saban have to do, or what do you hope for Coach Saban to do to try to steer this team to that national championship and trying to win it?
Well, first, you're right. I do think that we as fans are probably putting too much weight on. We raised our standard. We've had a good standard, and that was to be competitive, to win the SEC championship and have an opportunity to win a national championship. Now, I'm not saying or trying to take any light off of that, because what Coach has done over his decade of being there, it's been outstanding. But we can't expect that every single year, because it's tough, because you're getting everybody's best game. They're giving you all the trick plays that they can. They're just drawing up stuff because they don't have anything to lose when they're playing us. So the way his coaches have to prepare and the players have to prepare, it makes it very, very difficult to maintain this week in after week out. So Coach Saban, I think, just has to remind them, hey, man, you guys are good. You guys are fast. You guys are big. You can physical. And let's use our attributes to try to do that within the framework of the defense. Cut it down a little bit. We got 4-star, 5-star guys. We can run with people. We can tackle people. We can do all those things. But if you make guys play thinking too much, I'm hoping he can pull some of that thinking out of the game and let our guys go play.
Simplifying football. We're talking with George Teague, former Alabama safety. If you're just tuning in to the show here, we got Alabama-Auburn this week at Jordan-Hare, and that is always a tough and intense environment, an intense atmosphere to play in and to be in. But just in your opinion, George, what are you looking forward to seeing from these guys and making this a statement game and making this a statement victory? Coach Saban, since 2007, is 3-4 going inside at Jordan-Hare to play this Iron Bowl matchup. So what will your eyes be on in this game?
We got to take what they're giving us, bro. We got to take what they're giving us, because oftentimes we're saying, where's the running game? We're kind of weak up front on the offensive side of the ball. We're not protecting as well as we need to sometimes. We're being able to establish that dominant running game. I saw a little glimpse of that this week. I thought it was a little bit better this past week against Arkansas, but it still ain't where it needs to be. So I'm hoping we can come out and impose our will. When you go in and you try to play at Jordan-Hare, man, it's tough, bro. I mean, the rivalry game, like you said, in-state, they're just going to be up. We're going in a hostile environment. And so we got to be mentally prepared for this type of game, because all they want to do is knock us off at this point and create some havoc. So Saban's going to do what he does, use all the sports science, all the mental aspects of the game, and say, okay, we got to be mentally ready for this atmosphere. And then on offense, take what they're giving us, whatever that means, running the ball, throwing the ball, make sure Bryce is smart, can make the checks that he needs to make. So we either put ourselves to be able to run the ball or pass the ball when needed, find the matchups, because we can win the matchups on offense. And then on defense, man, we have to eliminate the big play. I'm hoping he's just saying that, man, let's not give up these big plays. Make them work for it all the time. Make them drive the length of the field, and then we make the explosive plays. So I think if we can hit them on those crossing routes and all the things we talked about last week when I spoke to you for briefly, I think we'll be a lot better there on offense. And then, man, we just can't we can't get into another shootout. We can't give up this many points like this. It'll be a long day if we don't eliminate these big plays.
Keeping it the way it is, telling it like it is. George Teague, former Alabama safety, right here on the show. 1992 national champion, breaking down the Crimson Tide, talking some Iron Bowl with us here on In My Own Words, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. George, my brother, man, we appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your day and your schedule to be here with us. You stay safe, take care of yourself, my man. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Be good.
Yes, sir. I got your back, man. Appreciate you. Roll Tide, everybody. Roll Tide.
Absolutely. George Teague, one of the greatest safeties to ever play in a Crimson Tide jersey, 1992 national champion, helping us out here on the show. I told you, people, we got gas, we got hitters, we pulling triggers here on the show. We take a break right now, folks. When we get back, we go back to the phone lines to take your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your interactions. It's coming after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Marvin Constant, All-SEC linebacker and 1999 SEC champion. You are listening to In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to WhitwellSports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian.
We are back in from the break of a number one ticket for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate everybody for checking us out here on a Monday, getting that Iron Bowl and Thanksgiving week started off for you correctly. Appreciate my man George, the Hitman Teague, in that recent interview segment right there. George Teague breaking down some stuff for us on the Iron Bowl and on your Crimson Tide, 1992 national champion right there. But we go to the phone lines right now to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. It's happening. What's going on? State your name and where you're calling from. Live, well, we lost that call there. We take this call here. You're live on the show tonight. How we feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, this is Mike from Kentucky. How you doing, brother?
Mike, what's happening, my man?
Bro, I'm about to get red with it, man. I ain't never heard Bama fans act like they're so scared, negative. Dude, I mean, no one disrespected Mr. Teague because he's one of my all-time favorites, man. I was down in Miami, Florida, watching that game in a bar. And I'll shoot it out with the James gang as long as Bryce Young's got two good legs, bro. I've been touting this kid for 2 years.
You have?
Ain't nobody going to outscore us. Ain't nobody going to outscore us, man. That cat, could you imagine how many touchdowns he would have thrown if he was playing behind Barrett Jones and the Quanjo brothers?
Right.
I mean, Brian Robinson be looking like Derrick Henry right now, but we ain't got that. But it's okay because we got a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback. And our defense ain't bad. They stack up. Yeah, they make some mental errors. I think George is right. I think they need to simplify the coverage a little bit, and we're going to be just fine. You know, Georgia hasn't played a top 15 quarterback nationally ranked this year. They don't know what's coming. I'll tell you the truth, I'd like to play him in Athens for the SEC championship so they don't make the college playoffs because I don't think it's fair for us to have to whip them twice. But I'll tell you what, we're going to do it if we got to do it.
There you go, Mike. There you go.
I'm telling you, it's game time, boys. He's somebody. Roll damn tide.
Mike
Quit being
from Kentucky.
negative, people.
Absolutely. Mike from Kentucky calling in, giving his thoughts here on the show on a Monday. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's happening? What's going on? State your name. Where you calling from?
Hi. My name is Christopher from Oklahoma.
All right, Christopher, how we feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm a big Oklahoma Sooners fan and a big Alabama fan.
Okay.
And can I just say something about the game?
Go ahead.
I think Bama is going to be in a close one with Auburn. And I'm hoping we win, but I'm kind of nervous for this game. I think it's going to be like a touchdown game that close with Auburn. And can I tell you, I actually subscribe to your channel, man, Touchdown Alabama, and I love it, man. Thank you for what you do. And can I tell you one more thing?
Go ahead.
My mom and dad are nurses at OU Medical Center in Oklahoma City. They have been taking care of COVID patients.
Okay. Okay. Can't beat that. Can't beat that. Appreciate my man from Oklahoma calling in, giving his thoughts on. They got a little Iron Bowl prediction. He says it's going to be a tough game between Alabama and Auburn. Appreciating the show. We thank that call there. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's happening? What's going on? State your name and where you calling from.
Good evening, Stephen. Bill from New York. How are you?
My brother Bill. What's happening, man?
Okay. Another great show tonight. When Robert from Mobile called, I think he touched on some very important stuff. But I'll get to that in a second. But I just want to talk about toe in the middle. I kind of disagree. I don't think he's the problem. I think that we haven't had that really, the Quinnen Williams. Last year we had Barmer. We haven't had Damon. We haven't had that real push in the middle. The game's changed. It's more of a passing game now, just like the NFL. And toe is good in coverage, and I even like the way he blitzes. I don't think my point is I don't think the issue was him. The other thing with Job, look, I haven't had a chance. I only had a chance to watch the game again, but I'm only up to into the second quarter. I thought I saw him limping, Stephen. He's a better player than what we've seen. I think the man's hurt. I really do, because we watched him for years. The man could play. He's not like some scrub. He's a good player. I think there's an issue with him, and putting in Kool-Aid, fine. He gave us all he had. I just think he's hurt. Now, the other thing I want to talk about with Robert from Mobile, what he said was true. Our expectations are really, really high. And I knew it at the beginning of the year, like our offense, it couldn't possibly be as good as last year. It's impossible. At almost every position, there's no comparison. You could just name them all. And really, we lost so many guys. I thought the defense would be better than this. I really did. But, like Robert said, we're doing well. What are we, 10-1? It's not like we're losing games. We lost the one game by a couple of points. We're still the Crimson Tide. We're going to beat Auburn. And I'm not saying we can't beat Georgia, but if I can see this stuff, I'm sure Saban can see it 100,000 times more than me. And we'll see what happens. He might even, I don't think he's looking ahead in terms of giving up on the year, but he might even be planning for next year already, Stephen. He probably is. He's a recruiter and everything else. But in the meantime, I rambled enough. Your show is great. Roll Tide to all my friends on this page, and God bless.
Absolutely. Bill from New York calling in. Good points. Good points. Good points there. I mean, Alabama has not had that beast of a defensive tackle in the middle since those days of Deron Payne and Quinnen Williams, of course, last year with Christian Barmore. So those are good points. And you want to have that push up the middle. Absolutely. I'm just looking at a lot of people, when you think about that inside, that middle linebacker position, quite naturally, the names that come up, people look at the Rolando McClains, they look at the C.J. Mosleys, the Reuben Fosters, the Reggie Racklins. Can Bama get somebody like that? And when Henry To'o came in here from the transfer portal, people thought they would get that type of player. He's just not been that type of player. Pretty good, but still not that type of player that fans thought it was going to get when he came in here. But we grabbed this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling tonight? State your name and where you calling from.
Steven M, what's good, man? It's your boy, Coach Smoot, and I'm not going to hold y'all long tonight, brother. When I say I want everybody to just calm down and just understand what's happening with Alabama football right now, these guys, we just have to accept that we have to find a way to win it, find a way to win type team this year. We just have to accept it. I don't think we won't see any more crazy personnel changes that are obvious. I don't know what the deal is with the staff. The play calling is not necessarily the problem, but the personnel groupings and people you're putting on the field in key situations who have proven time and time again that they're not ready for those moments. Why are they still getting these opportunities? That's my gripe. That's my gripe about the coaching staff. But and in regards to handling Auburn guys, I don't think Harrison's going to try to beat Alabama, by playing athlete against athlete. I think he's going to try to out-scheme us like most teams usually have to do. And that's going to give us trouble. It's going to be a tight game, initially, but I think we can out-athlete like we always do. Now, with Georgia, I don't think Kirby respects us enough right now to try to out-scheme us. I don't think that team is going to try to out-scheme us. I think they believe they can beat us one-on-one, athlete on athlete, and that's what has been their downfall every time they play us the last few times. Nobody, you can't out-athlete Alabama. We can go 3 or 4 deep. And when it comes to the matchups, when you talk about, position, who's better comparison, we have the edge at quarterback at a very important position. And that's where we're going to get Georgia. And also in our secondary, without Job, in the secondary, I think Helms is going to have a great game against a team like Georgia. A lot of run support where Battle's going to be able to play over top. A lot of 1-man, 0-man coverage type game. We're going to be straight against Georgia. I do have concerns about the O-line, but that O-line showed tremendous improvement last game. Because Arkansas doesn't have a weak defensive front. They actually have one of the most efficient defensive fronts behind Georgia's defensive front. So let's take our licks and keep it moving, y'all. This is Nick Saban. There's always a method to the madness, So y'all just take it easy, man. I appreciate y'all, and roll tide, everybody. Blue Ridge gang, we out here. TDA, y'all the best. I love y'all.
Appreciate Senator Hines, my man, Coach Smoot, calling and giving his thoughts here on Crimson Tide football. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling tonight? State your name and where you calling from.
Yo, is this me? Am I on?
You on, call. You on.
Oh, what's up, brother? This is Seth from Charlotte, North Carolina. And, man, I was just thinking, this team, in some ways, it kind of reminds me of, the 2017 national title team. Like some of these players Nick Saban was putting in the game in 2017, we knew, some of these guys, like Jalen Hurts, who else? Some of the wide receivers, we knew they weren't as good as Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, but he was putting them in. He's kind of in a weird spot. He knows some of these guys aren't as good, but when they're putting it in practice and doing their job, it's hard to pull them out. So some of these guys Slade Bolden and who else? Chris Owens. DeMarco Helms, these guys need to eventually, when we play these better teams, we're gonna have to put these guys in that are more talented, like Brian Branch, Malachi Moore, because they'll just be better, when the game gets tight, we're gonna need that talent,
I can see that. I can see that, and I see the point you just made there, going back to that 2017 team, because definitely we saw that. As much as Coach Saban appreciated Jalen Hurts, and he did, and he still does, and as much as Coach Saban appreciated those older guys, we saw when it got to the championship game, the way Georgia was able to clamp down on those guys in the first half. He needed to switch to a new energy, a fresh look, a different scheme, and that's what we saw. Him empty the bench and go with Tua, go with Henry Ruggs, go with Devontae Smith, go with Jerry Jeudy, go with Najee Harris, go with Alex Leatherwood at left tackle. We saw this happen when Saban knew, hey, it's a tight game. They've got us planned out here. Let's get some guys on the field that they're not used to and shake this thing up. So definitely agree with that. Appreciate that call there from my man out of North Carolina. We take this call here. You're live on the show tonight. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hello, my name is Michael from Florida.
Michael, what's happening, man?
Good. I just wanted to say, love your show, love everything you're doing, man. Keep on going. So I wanted to talk about the defense. Now, we all seem to mess up, all the big plays. Like you said, we can win if we just eliminate the big plays. Like Joe, he's a really good guy because normally when people watch our defense, they're normally watching the line. They're not really watching the corners, So we'll probably play a lot of man. So Joe gets tired, everybody gets tired. But you gotta eliminate the big plays and the safety problem. I feel like our safeties aren't really they don't really want it. You know what I'm saying? They're not don't have that determination to, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like our safeties aren't really there when we need them. That's also another problem. And yeah, Bryce, I've been watching Bryce since he was in high school. I knew that man was going to be one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever come through Alabama. The way he controls the game is one of a kind. But yeah, that's my two-piece.
Appreciate that. Appreciate my man right there calling in, talking about his thoughts on the defense and the season that Bryce Young has had, an incredible season that being. We're going to take a call right here. You are live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling tonight? State your name and where you calling from.
What's up, Steven? This is Elijah calling from Jersey.
Elijah, what's up, man?
Man, I just want you to remember last Monday when I called in to you, and we were talking about that the last game that the defense looked like they stepped up. And I told you my problem was it wasn't about how good they looked. It's about the consistency. Could they keep this up? Could they look as good against that team that they did against Arkansas? And my thing was it failed. If you look at it, they didn't look nowhere near as a complete defensive unit that they did the week before as they did on Saturday. And I just wanted to point out a couple things. I ain't going to take long on here. My thing was with the D-line, if you notice, they pass lanes, they rush lanes. They constantly out of their rush lanes, which gives the quarterback a chance to step up in his pocket, run, or throw right over their heads. Like, they out of their rush lanes. When is the last time, Stephen, I want to ask you, have you seen an Alabama bat down a ball at the defensive line?
Man,
when have you seen that?
Last time I saw that, man, was last year.
That's what I'm saying. Also, they never got their hands up. It's like they just ball rushing in. They never put their hands up to bat down a ball. Anything, man. I don't understand. This is supposed to be a strength of our defensive unit, the defensive line. And they don't bat down no balls. They out of their rush lanes, which give quarterbacks room to scramble, depending on what coverage we're in. If we're in man-to-man coverage, now people got to turn around and spot this quarterback and then try to chase him down. And that's very frustrating on a secondary, on a linebacker unit, when the defensive line is supposed to contain this quarterback. And another thing that get me upset is everybody talk about this youth. Oh, we're a young team. We are not a young team defensively, Stephen. We're not. You look at that secondary.
Jalen Armour Davis, he's 3 to 4 years in the program. Battle's 3 years in the program. Hellam's right been there, seemed like 20 years. You know what I mean? Hellam's been in the program for a long time. Joe been in the program 3 to 4 years. Henry Toa's been playing football on the collegiate level now for 3 to 4 years. Harris has been there 3 years. If you look at it, a guy like Will Anderson that been there 2 years, Dallas Turner that's a true freshman. Those guys look like they're senior guys. They look like they've been in the program longer. I know you said Mathis look good, but these guys ain't making an impact like they should. These upperclassmen ain't making the type of impact like, they should be making, man, on a consistent basis. I'm not talking about one play. I'm talking about, can you do it for the whole series? And, I'm tired of saying we're going to get it fixed. We got things we got to work on. It's 11 games in. If they ain't got it by now, they ain't getting it, brother. If they don't have it by now, they ain't getting it. It's time now. You got to replace these guys if you want these problems to be fixed. Because it's just disgusting. Like you said, it's an Alabama standard. And these guys been in the program on the defensive side of the ball for 3 to 4 years, and they still have not been playing up to that Alabama standard, and it's the 11th game of the season. Like, what is it going to take? You're coaching all week long for them to come out and look like this on Saturday? Man, I think we beat Auburn. Don't get me wrong. I think we could beat Auburn. But that game against Georgia, I don't think that's something a lot of us Alabama fans going to want to see. And I'm just keeping it real, brother. I thank you for letting me vent. And you have a good night. And if I don't talk to you before Thursday, you have a happy Thanksgiving, man.
Appreciate my man Elijah from New Jersey getting his thoughts be made heard here on the show. We grabbed this call here. You are live on the show tonight. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Just James Knox, calling from D.C.
My man James, what's happening, man?
Yeah, you know my Alabama Iron Bowl, we got off to a good one, a very good start yesterday when Mr. Payne, Allen, Collins, and Sims took down that boy Newton. We ate that fig Newton yesterday down in Carolina, and I'm ready for the Iron Bowl. I feel them winning the Iron Bowl, beating Georgia the first time, beating Georgia a second time, beating Ohio State for the second time. It's all doable. It's doable, and enjoy the ride because it'll be a great ride once it happens. It's gonna be a great ride once it happens. Thank you for letting me call the show. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, my man James Knox calling in from D.C., giving his word here on the show. Appreciate everybody for writing in, texting in, chatting in, making this your show, your network right here. Also, if you want to have your picture featured on the show when you call in, you send that photo to tdalabamateam@gmail.com. That's tdalabamateam@gmail.com. You send the photo right there. We will have the photo featured with your name on screen as you are calling into the show, letting your voice be made heard right here. We switch to a quick topic, and this one's on Tua Tagovailoa. The former Alabama quarterback has the Miami Dolphins on a 3-game winning streak. He got the start against the New York Jets. Tua leading the Dolphins to a 24-17 win. He had 3 scoring drives of 83, 90, and 75 yards. He had 2 touchdowns in the game. Tua had a season high for completion percentage, a season high for passer rating, a season high for total for QBR. The Dolphins 4-7 on the year, but they have 6 games left in the regular season. So a shot to go 10-7 and back its way into a playoff spot. Very, very doable here. And for all the criticism that Tua's taken, that Double T in the morning has taken, Tua Tagovailoa is number 10 among all quarterbacks in the NFL for QBR. He's 10th among all quarterbacks in the NFL in that stat right there. So Tua knows what he's doing. Tua knows what he's doing. It's just for the Miami Dolphin front office, do they know what they're doing and not trying to hastily boot Tua out the door here? But Tagovailoa has the Dolphins on a 3-game win streak, got the victory there over the Jets on Sunday. But we go to a break right here, folks, on the show, and touch that down. When we get back in, we're going to get into the Iron Bowl conversation and why Saban has to master Jordan-Hare Stadium this weekend. We'll talk about it after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSFootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSFootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
As we're back into the action here, folks, from the break of number one form for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Monday. Appreciate you guys for writing in, texting in, tweeting in, donating in, calling in, making this your show, your network, your channel, your platform to talk your program. That being Alabama football. We're getting this Iron Bowl and Thanksgiving week popping off for you correctly. And before we get into final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. So for all of you fans still overjoyed with the Crimson Tide's national championship from the 2020 campaign, we want you to check out our championship collection merch. This means you grab you an 18 of them things, folk, hoodie, t-shirt, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs that feature all 18 championship years on the back. You head over to TDAwear.com. Do it right now. TDAwear.com. You go over Championship Collections merch tab, and you get you that gear today, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But this weekend, you got the Iron Bowl, Alabama, Auburn. We mentioned this before. I mean, this is a game where you throw the records out the window. It's in-state rivalry. It's man on man. It's house divided. It's, like I said, when players graduate from Alabama, you're always asked about what was your record against LSU? What was your record against Tennessee? What was your record against Auburn? Because those are the three teams that Crimson Tide fans care the most about. They want to make sure, hey, we beat LSU? All right, good. Hey, we beat Tennessee? Awesome. Hey, but did we beat Auburn? Oh, okay, then. And it's the same thing where Auburn is concerned. Auburn fans are like, hey, did we take down Alabama? Did we take down the Crimson Tide? Did Auburn get this win? So this in-state rivalry, big, huge deal. And to me, this is a statement game for Coach Saban. I mean, this is a statement game for Nick Saban because Saban has not fared well in Jordan-Hare since becoming Alabama's head coach in 2007. There is something about that place. There is something about the atmosphere in that place that Saban has just not been able to consistently master. Saban has not been able to consistently dominate. Saban has not been able to consistently impose his will. As the Alabama head football coach at Jordan-Hare, he's 3-4. So that's losing record right there. So here's a moment for the head football coach for Alabama to go down there, be fundamentally sound, be disciplined, be all out, all energy to try to take the crowd out of the game. Because that crowd is going to be on one from start to finish at Pat Dye Field. That crowd's going to be on one. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be insane atmosphere. So for Alabama, offensively and defensively, play calling, play scheming, managing this whole moment, Alabama's got to be able to take the entire essence of Jordan-Hare out of the game from the kickoff to the moment the clock hits 0-0 in the fourth quarter. If you look at just some of the results here that Alabama has had under Coach Saban at Jordan-Hare, 2007, the first matchup in the Iron Bowl for Alabama, for Coach Saban at Alabama, Auburn got the 17-10 victory there. You go to 2013, the Tigers got the 34-28 win, the kick six, that happened right there. 2017, Auburn got the 26-14 win. Jalen Hurts tremendously struggled in that game. Tigers got the win there. And then in 2019, despite the heroics of Mac Jones in that matchup, a missed field goal from Joseph Bulovas. Auburn got the 48-45 win there at Jordan-Hare. I even go back to 2009 for just a minute in Auburn, even though Alabama got the 26-21 win. Gene Chizik, in his first year as Auburn's head coach in this rivalry, gave Alabama all it could ask for, all it could want, all it could handle. And typically, first-year head coaches for Auburn in this rivalry going up against Nick Saban, they have absolutely no fear. They throw caution to the wind. They throw stuff up against the wall. They want to see what sticks here. They are not afraid to go right at the Crimson Tide. After, of course, Coach Chizik, you look at Gus Malzahn in 2013. Malzahn ran every play in the arsenal that he had, and he ran it, and he ran it, and he ran it, and Auburn got momentum throughout that football game. To the end, they're running the missed field goal back for a touchdown. You look at, of course, now this is Brian Harson's first year coming over from Boise State. I expect every trick in the book to be pulled out. I expect every play to be pulled out. I expect every call, every strategy, every scheme he has in the back of that cap to be pulled out, because this is the game that salvages Auburn's season. This is the game that can make Auburn's season better. Auburn came into the season with national championship aspirations. Of course, that's no longer the picture because it has 5 losses. But this is always the game. Hey, if we can take down Alabama, it was worth it. If we can take down Alabama, good season. If we can take down Alabama, nothing else matters. That's going through the minds of the Auburn faithful. And reflecting back on the summer here, if you remember, 2 Auburn players, transfer defensive lineman Tony Fair and quarterback Bo Nix, they both said in the offseason, our job, we're coming to take the head off the elephant. They both said it. Tony Fair said it on social media, and of course, Bo Nix during SEC Football Media Day said, of course that's our job. It's our role. We're coming to take the head off the elephant. That's how we feel. We believe we can get that done. Anybody at Auburn will say the same thing. That is our prerogative. We're coming to take Alabama out. We're coming to rip Big Al's head off. We're coming to do our thing and stomp all over the Crimson Tide. That's our MO. That's our motive. Now, of course, Bo Nix will not play in the matchup due to suffering a broken ankle against Mississippi State. Had surgery, on that ankle. So Alabama will get T.J. Finley, former LSU quarterback, to compete in this game for the Tigers. And T.J. Finley will bring a lot of his dual threat ability, his ability to extend plays. And even though he can run at 6'8", 246 pounds, Finley more so likes to sit in that pocket and throw the football and target guys downfield and try to pick the Alabama secondary apart. But this is a big game here. This is a huge matchup. Auburn's trying to play spoiler. That's their main goal. That's their main goal. You're trying to play spoiler. You're trying to end Alabama's hopes of winning the national championship, getting to a national championship. And they played spoiler 2 years ago. And it came up, because remember, Alabama had won a loss against LSU in 2019, and it goes into the Iron Bowl against Auburn. Alabama beats Auburn in 2019. It goes on to the SEC championship, more than likely. Well, not the SEC championship. It does. It goes to a New Year's Six bowl. If it beats Auburn, it would have played for a New Year's Six bowl that year. Because of the loss, not only is Alabama not competing for an SEC championship, not competing for a national championship, not going to a New Year's Six bowl, it ended up beating Michigan in the Citrus Bowl. Of course, it was good for Alabama to get that win over Jim Harbaugh in Michigan, especially after the conversations and the talks and the dialogue that Jim Harbaugh has had, rubbing people the wrong way at times. But this time around, for Alabama, not trying to have its season spoiled. It has all of its postseason dreams, postseason goals, postseason aspirations right there in front of it. But going to be a huge matchup at Jordan-Hare. Can Coach Saban master this atmosphere? Can Coach Saban master this field? Can he master this arena and get a big victory, a statement game moving forward here as we continue through the season? Got to shout out my man McConaughey with that $50 donation, helping us out here on the show, showing love here via In My Own Words. Appreciate McConaughey right there. As always, people, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store. If you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store. If you got the Android phone for your audio listening needs, here we go. iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. The good and gracious Lord sees fit. Your man will be back on Wednesday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. I will look to be back on Wednesday. If changes happen, then we will let you guys know. But look to be back on Wednesday talking more Crimson Tide football. As always, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. If you're trying to get the fresh edition, print edition of TDA, the magazine, you can do this by going to touchdownalabama.com. Click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link in the description as well. Also, if you're looking for that four-finger bling necklace, four-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at We Own thefourthquarter.com, that link in the description as well. But until next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives, appreciate, value those husbands, children, even though you're out for Thanksgiving break. Continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing, to not be bored. You grab you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. You've been listening to In My Own Words.